Well, I throw out this challenge. Are you a good steward of God's generosity or a poor steward of God's generosity? In other words, how do you think God views pilfering money from the offerings of his people even before it's counted and deposited? The Center for the Study of Global Christianity at Gordon Conwell Seminary released a fascinating but very disturbing report about annual giving to the global church. The center is a highly regarded research center that monitors worldwide demographic trends in Christianity, including outreach and mission, then publishes a comprehensive collection of information on the past, present, and future trends of Christianity in every country of the world. First, I start with the good news. Personal income among Christians in 2017 was $53 trillion U.S. You heard me correctly. 53 trillion with a T. A remarkable amount of money. Of that amount, nearly 1.9 trillion was given to a variety of Christian causes, things like churches, missions, and parachurch ministries. Again, a remarkable amount of money. This report unearthed a dreadfully disturbing finding. Of the $360 billion given to the church in 2017, $59 billion was lost to corruption. Did you hear that? $59 billion lost to corruption. This means that nearly 16.5% of the tithes and offerings were inappropriately taken from the collections and never accounted for in the budget. So two things stand out in this report. One, we find statistical proof that Christians are not being taught to give. This is what we're addressing in the Giving is Living sermon series. Two, corruption is running rampant in Christ Church. This, too, is a crippling reality validated by church leaders around the globe. The purpose of this Diving Deeper session is to help you avoid the predicament of organizational worthiness in your ministry. Let me remind you of what you have been teaching the people in your congregation through this sermon series. God owns everything. We own nothing. This means that the things in our possession, even our time, our talents, material blessings, and money, belong to God. Everything. Therefore, we're but servants of God's possessions. We are nothing more or less than stewards of God's generosity. The challenge then, Pastor, is, are you a good steward of God's generosity or a poor steward of God's generosity? How do you think God views pilfering money from the offerings of his people even before they're counted and deposited? As you ponder this, I suggest you read Luke 19, the parable of the good and bad stewards. The lesson here is, you do not want to be found a poor steward. Therefore, I'm recommending some best practices. Practices that will protect your personal character, integrity, and the organizational worthiness of your church. First, develop and follow an annual budget. The budget is critical to the health, stability, and worthiness of your ministry. A budget is simply a tool, a roadmap for achieving the ministry goals and objectives of your church. A budget is a vision that plans for emergencies while controlling unbudgeted and unnecessary spending. A budget is meant to be transparent. It must be shared and approved by the leaders of your church and the congregation. A budget is good stewardship of God's resources and the trust that He's placed in you. A good budget is transparent in that it protects you and others from corruption. Second, create and empower a church finance committee, a vital committee of your church leadership consisting of elders, deacons, or trustees. It develops simple policies and procedures to oversee and steward the church's financial and material resources. It includes a transparent system for collecting, counting, recording, depositing, and reporting all contributions. This committee oversees the development of the annual budget, a budget that's presented to and approved by the congregation, and it's regularly reported, maybe quarterly, to the church officers and the congregation. I also suggest that this budget be annually audited by a reputable, outside, independent source. Third, and finally, adopt and use a formal but simple bookkeeping system. This might be a digital format, an application that you can use on your computer, but it can also be a simple paper format. I provide a link at the end of this video that offers a free, simple budget planning format. It can be used digitally or printed out and used as hard copy. This guards your heart, your reputation, your integrity, and the ministry of your church. All to say, your meticulous transparency keeps you and your church leaders on a path that honors God and fills the earth with His glory.